This podcast contains explicit language.
This is Carlos.
And this is Dave.
Two fat guys talk games and friends.
Hi.
That
was your
was becoming very common.
Yes, the friends are becoming a popular mainstay of two fat guys talk games. It's good to have friends. Friends are important. All right, that's enough of that intro.
Friends are
We
lovely.
have other fat men. Oh wait, we should introduce ourselves again. I'm Carlos. You're Dave.
Yeah, this is
We
Dave.
have Poe, Kiki, and Richie.
Hey,
Yeah.
Hi.
And believe it or not, Dave, we have listener mail.
Wait, somebody actually listens to us?
Yes,
They must,
other than
they must have
me.
muted your part.
Yeah, funny guy. All right, dear two fat guys talk games. My name is Alex. First time messenger, long time listener. I don't know what he means by that. I'm curious. What are your thoughts on Xbox 360 versus PS3? I get asked this question a lot. Which is better? I'd like to hear your professional opinions. Well, first of all, we are not professionals. We are like Brian Fellow Safari Planet. We do not have any degrees. We are just passionate and somewhat schizophrenic.
Yeah, Carlos is talking out of his ass. Totally professional.
Totally professional. So, I think they are two different systems that each have good and bad games, good and bad features, and good and bad aspects of their online experience. I have both.
Oh, stop sugarcoating it.
I have both, but I play the 360 way more often. Dave?
What he meant to say is the Xbox is superior when it comes to the online play, whereas the PSN network sucks a monkey's ass.
Has a nice interface. I like its interface better than I like it.
I don't.
Xboxes.
I think they both suck.
Well,
Especially Microsoft's new interface. It is awful.
the new interface is chic. It's chic. It's urban.
Is that stupid for shit?
It is stupid for shit, sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. It's urban. Suburban, even. With its lowercase, non-capitalized words. It's very non-threatening. I don't feel threatened by my UI.
And yet, I think the Xbox interface needs... I mean, if you pay for Xbox Live, and this is where the two services definitely differentiate. If I'm paying for an online service, I want all those ads gone. That's one place I think PSN does better is I don't have, TV ads shoved in my face while I'm trying to browse for my games.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. If you're gonna pay for it, there shouldn't be ads there. I really don't need to know what Rogers' big deals are. That was a terrible line. Hopefully we'll cut this out in editing. But yeah, I play the 360 more, but I don't have anything against either system. Dave, did you just die?
I think you did.
Oh,
This is
no.
the best podcast ever.
This is the podcast ever. Indeed.
I think
Dave?
he's gone.
Testing.
There you are.
New mic.
Oh, good. This one's way better.
Is that better?
Much better.
Okay, that's the one that we record our podcasts here with.
Okay.
So just to finish that off, I really think that PSN has gone the right way when it comes to their games, but both services are way inferior to, say, Steam.
I agree. As consoles overall, I like the 360 better personally. We're getting echo. It's always one thing or another, Jesus. Dave?
Go ahead.
Echo. No, I think both consoles are fine. What about our panel of friends? What do y'all think?
I play the Xbox the most out of my two systems. I don't dislike the PlayStation, but I do have to say it is a constant nuisance to me. It's not really a problem as much as it's a nuisance that the PlayStation 3 requires installs for just about every one of its games when the Xbox does not, and oftentimes the Xbox runs it with better graphic capability. While the PlayStation has the upper advantage with the Blu-ray and having more space to put more textures and whatever is on your disc, you know, the Xbox runs it in 1080p regardless. The PS3 only a handful of games run in 1080p. So to get the most out of an HD TV, you're going with the Xbox, which runs games in very good viewing condition regardless. Not that graphics are everything. It's just that when you have paid to have the best looking, you don't settle for less, right?
Were you murdering a cat as you said that?
No, I don't know what that noise was.
Well, okay. Cat murderers and other two. System Wars, go.
I played the Xbox 360 more than the PlayStation 3. Oh, lately anyway, yeah.
Alright.
They're better games. No, it's just they're more preferable games I play on the 360 than the PS3.
Okay, seriously, who's cleaning their room?
Not me.
Not me either.
I actually had myself on mute while you guys are talking.
Me too.
The fuck? This is all very strange. Kiki, talk.
I have a PlayStation 3. I don't own an Xbox. I own precisely one game on PlayStation 3 and the free games from the PSN network, all of which I haven't played.
Alright. Hopefully, Alex, this answers your question. Thanks for listening. God save the Queen. Alright, great podcast, guys. We'll see you later. Have a good night. Signing off.
No.
Okay. Alright. Guilty pleasures.
Yay!
You start us off, Carlos.
I play a lot of Castlevania Harmony of Despair. It sucks balls, and I love it. Jesus Christ, it sucks so much balls. It's a terrible item grind, but it's so much fun. It's like a 2D Diablo. Yeah, that's my guilty pleasure.
I have a few guilty pleasures.
Okay, wait.
Wait.
There was some suction going on there.
It's Poe's fault!
What? How?
Because you were doing stuff. It was coming from you. Stop making out with your mic and start talking.
Frasier, we've got dead air. Richard,
Okay.
what are your guilty pleasures?
I'm sorry, my guilty pleasures? Okay.
In gaming.
I've got a few. I really don't mind playing Dynasty Warriors every now and again.
Almost.
I don't like to play it consistently, but it is fun every once in a while, even though I know that it is X the game.
That reminds me of another one I
my
had. Dynasty
God.
Warriors Gundam. Oh, beautiful Dynasty Warriors Gundam. So
Exactly what I
terrible.
was thinking of.
Dynasty Warriors in general. I don't care which one I'm playing because I know that they're all the same anyway. So I could be playing a Gundam. I could be playing a numbered one. Actually, I will be the first to admit that Strike Force is probably the best Dynasty Warriors because it's not always just X the game. But regardless, that is a guilty pleasure. I also find myself playing a lot of niche JRPGs every once in a while. Nothing so much as like, you know, Atelier Totiri or Record of Agorist War or anything like that.
Nothing
But-
gay.
Yeah, right? None of the ones that on the cover is like this little 12-year-old girl that you know is going to get raped in the game. But I have checked out games like Mana Chemia.
Are we seriously
or-
laughing at rape? Really?
I don't think that they get raped in that one. I never saw someone get raped, and I'm pretty sure I'm 60% of the way through. I don't think I'm ever going to finish it though.
Man, we've got our topic, rape in RPGs.
Yo,
When
we're
did
talking about that.
role-playing
Battle
game
Raper.
become rape-playing game?
I do not have a gluttony for those though. I don't really care about those. That's really what I gotta say. Anyone else got something?
For the first...
Oh.
you go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Fine. I might come back with another one, but just for the first few minutes, for the first 20% of the game I was playing it, Record of Agorist Wars. It was a bit of... I felt bad about liking this game just a little bit.
Because I kept making fun of you, and you were playing it on my Xbox.
It's just that only a couple bits of the music were pretty kickin', pretty badass, and which it didn't suit the entire the rest of the game or the So Japanese characters.
The music was awful. It was synthy noise. That was a sample. That wasn't even someone voicing it. That's from the official soundtrack.
Oh, too fucking good.
I feel like Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
That's not guilty. That's a
That's
great
not
game.
guilt.
It's a great fucking game.
You
It's
know,
not a guilty pleasure if it's good.
You play about it too.
but complaining about a game versus it actually being bad is two different things.
Yes. Like, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, not a guilty pleasure.
Sonic
CD,
Adventure 1
Like
is...
Sonic 06 and liking it, guilty pleasure.
No, that gets you sodomized.
How about
It
this for
does.
guilty pleasure?
That's just guilty.
Okay. How about this for guilty pleasure? I actually don't mind playing some levels of Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah, that's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, no.
That is a guilty pleasure.
Especially like going to the Gun Fortress stage, just defeating one of the Bigfoot mechas, just picking up a machine gun, killing a few gun soldiers to get max chaos blast meter, and then just having unlimited ammo, killing everything in sight with a chain gun, enemy and gun soldier alike. That was pretty fun. Well,
There were some moments of that game that really needed to be in a better game.
I'm gonna come out with a couple of my guilty pleasures. I like a couple of the translated, I won't even call them JRPGs. Reset here, available on Steam. And it wasn't just because of the whole side-scrolling Zelda sort of stuff. It was also the item management.
We are slowly losing you.
The item management and...
Dave, you're fading fast.
That was cool, though.
No, it was cool. It sounded like someone was pulling you away. Like suddenly you were just taking out your trash, and you forgot you were recording.
Please don't edit this out.
Holy shit. Well, one fat guy talks games from now on. Wow.
he's gone.
We cannot hear most of what you're saying. I'm serious. When you hear this in person, you're gonna laugh.
You need to save it.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Ooh, robot.
Yeah.
Now?
Okay, way better.
Okay, let's try that again.
Yes,
Now
please.
that the games have stopped trying to drag me away to the closet.
Yeah. That was so
It's
good.
their payback for not touching them for so long. So, my guilty pleasure would happen to be Dynasty Warriors as well. I just like a beat 'em up every now and then.
Especially one where you can beat up 100 guys at once.
That is fun. Following that, I liked playing, and this puts a chill down my spine, 2 Human for the 360. I realize it was asked. The multiplayer aspect of it did make it enjoyable for the time being. It had the whole Diablo loot system. It was enjoyable for a while.
I really wanted to like that game.
Yeah, I know you did. And then I liked Dirge of Service for Final Fantasy VII, the shooter on PlayStation 2.
God.
There-
You, sir, are worse than Hitler.
I will accept this. In my defense, I used a keyboard and a mouse.
Yeah, that's one thing that game does really well. It actually goes, this is a shooter. Let's give people that option.
Yeah, so all the problems with the controls were largely rectified by the keyboard and mouse, so I actually enjoyed playing through that, unlike using a pad, which was god-awful if you remember.
Yeah, a DualShock 2 is not exactly a shooter controller.
Well, it works. There are certain shooters that game has worked for. Things like PlayStation 3 version of, oh crap, what was that? Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. That worked. It actually did. However, Dirge of the Cerberus had shit controls, my God. You could do better sitting on your head, circling yourself around in a tornado, and you might do better with the buttons.
I recall having difficulty aiming with the controller in that game.
I remember you had problems moving.
I did have trouble moving too.
I mean, you lasted a whole 35 seconds, I think it was, in that game.
It was a combination of that little girl crying in the vault, because I couldn't figure out how to get her out, and it was driving me insane.
Oh, now there's a story for everybody. And this is awesome for podcasts as well.
Okay, hang on. Before you tell it, I'll let you tell it. The other thing was, that game was a piece of shit. Okay, tell the story.
Okay, so here's Carlos struggling with the controls and everything else, but Carlos happens to be a giant sucker for emotion / pussy. So, here he is going through through the first level. Thank you. And later. And so he's going through this level, and here's this little girl crying. And he can't find the little girl. He can't get there fast enough to save her. And Carlos's jaw, as the little girl dies, sort of drops, a little tear forms in his eye, and then he throws in the control and says, "Fuck this, the controls suck." So, because he couldn't save the little girl, because he was a wuss, he just gave up on the game. Now,
hang on, you're getting a few details wrong. The girl didn't die, she was locked in that box, and I couldn't figure out how to open the box, and she was whining from the inside for her mom. That kinda got me.
And by you turning the game off, she died, so you suck.
Plus shitty controls. And terrible game. Kiki, guilty pleasures.
Okay. One PSO, that game is not the greatest game, but it's so fun. I don't understand. What's another one? Another one, frickin' Feel the Magic, or whatever it is, and Rub Rabbits. Those games, they're kind of like WarioWare, which is another one, but except, I don't know if any of you've played them, but the concept is, you basically get this silhouette guy to go out with the silhouette girl, and you do stuff to get her to like you and whatnot. And it's with the stylus and all that fun stuff, but...
You should probably bring up that it's on the DS.
Yeah, it's on the DS. I thought mentioning the stylus would be enough, but I'm sorry.
Hey, add it on Shadow Action. Carlos would go right for that.
But the game is just so bad. My hand was cramped up I had a claw for 3 days. I was freaking out. I was like, oh my god, my hand's gonna die. That was just, yeah, no. I've played Dynasty Warriors Gundam, which I absolutely love, even though I shouldn't. I just loved punching things with Domon. It was just the funnest thing in the world. I had another one in mind as you guys are talking, but now I can't remember for the life of me what it was.
I think PSO is everyone's guilty pleasure here.
Oh yes, the self-proclaimed best game and worst game ever for GameCube.
Oh, yeah.
It really is the best and worst game.
It really is.
I've kind of got to step out of that group because I played it on the GameCube. I never got onto the PC version, so once I stopped playing my GameCube, I stopped playing the game. So
no, you haven't.
I'm out of that.
No, David. Once you play the GameCube, you've played them all. You're fine.
Well,
you're in there. You are there.
He's playing it right now.
I think that we have a saying among us as PSO players that if a game similar to PSO is not doing something that PSO did, it sucks.
They're doing it wrong.
Oh, guilty pleasure, major one for me. Hellgate London.
Oh, Hellgate London.
Why do I feel like I've heard it before? I cannot remember what it is.
Anyway, isn't that one with vampires in it?
That was a shooter game in the style of Diablo-ish, made by former Diablo creators.
Someone's typing. Stop typing,
and
please.
It bombed.
Yeah, it looked like it had a lot of potential. It was kind of like PSO in a gothic version of a post-apocalyptic Earth. And it did bomb.
Yeah. That's accurate.
You had guns and shit and loot. Very loot-driven. What is it about these loot-driven games that are guilty pleasures? PSO, Hellgate, Castlevania, Harmony of Despair. It's
don't
that damn
know.
grind. These
But it
addictive
is.
games.
I think we're all loot whores.
I think we are all loot whores.
Why do you think Borderlands was so good? Even though you never played it, Carlos.
You're about to get me started.
Here's the thing about these loot grinds. I've always said this. Grinds are horrible for games, but some piece of me desires it now and then. I'd never design a game with that kind of grind, but I kind of want to play one from time to time. Richie, get started. Go on your thing.
I've always felt that grinding. I just wanted to mention something about grinding. Specifically to MMOs and RPGs. I've always thought that grinding, you shouldn't feel like you're grinding. Or at least whatever you're doing that is considered the grinding should be fun enough that it doesn't feel like a chore, like a job. Like leveling up in MMOs is like a job. Why do we play MMOs? To get to the end game so that we can make the best character possible so that we can go up to the highest level content and beat all the fucking people in PvP. Yes. Why does it take so long to get there?
Because you keep paying money.
Right.
And because in a lot of cases, it is the journey in MMOs. I mean, let's face it. For me, the old Republic wouldn't be half as fun if it wasn't for the heavy storyline-driven stuff. If it just suddenly got me to the end game, I don't think I'd still be playing it.
I have to tell you, I feel the opposite. Sorry, Richie, you and I were talking at the same time. You go ahead.
Yes. Oh no, I was just about to use Star Wars as an example. I was about to say, Star Wars, I don't mind the grind of 50 because there's something interesting, at least with the main campaign of your job class, going on. You know, and there's a reason for me to keep going. Like, I feel like I'm only grinding to get to the next story element, which is preferable to World of Warcraft, where I couldn't give two shits about the lore that has way too many names of characters that I couldn't feel anywhere near compelled to remember. Even though there is a lore for people to get into, it's definitely not accessible to newcomers to not know the lore. You know what I mean?
I really feel the opposite. Give me the damn max level character. That's what I want to play. I want to play this end game. I don't want the journey. Or I want to experience the journey with my max level dude. Even if the journey is now scaled to that level. I'm okay with that.
This is why Guild Wars is so popular.
Indeed. Because you can go to PvP with a max level character, and the game's like, sure, buddy. It's about skill now. Do it. Meanwhile, we have Blizzard, and their devs are saying, well, we could do that, but then why would you play? And I look at the screen and I'm like, because if it's a good game, we'll play it. People still play Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo in tournaments. That game has not been patched and has no grind. Fuckers.
You know what's another guilty pleasure?
Yeah.
Sonic Adventure 2. Or Sonic
Yeah.
Adventure 1.
Yeah.
I like one better than
Sonic.
two.
I loved getting times. Was it worth it, though? Those hours I spent getting those really good times.
Here's the
You
question.
did have a lot of
Did you have
fun.
I did have fun, absolutely.
Then it was worth it.
No one has beaten my Tails times, I was quite surprised. I looked it up. No one has.
Yeah, I did see some speedrunners, and I'm like, wow, those actually did these faster. One day you gotta tape them, and we put it up on YouTube so we can laugh at the scrubs.
And then they'll beat my times.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Also,
One guilty pleasure for me was Sonic Heroes. It was a terrible game even then, but I loved the banter of Team Sonic as they just ran through the levels. They were all buddy-buddy with each other and making fun of Eggman and shit. I really liked that. It was kind of like a tolerable Star Fox.
I just thought of another guilty pleasure for me. Crash Team Racing.
Oh,
That is not
yeah.
guilty. That's a good game.
Crash in general for the speedrun competition between me and Newsy.
No,
That-
but here's the thing. That's not a guilty pleasure.
Pissed
That's a
me
good
off.
game.
Oh, David, he knows how much I like getting the best times. And he spent, 3 days or so making sure that he would get the better time on one of my tracks, and he beat me by 2 milliseconds. I could never do it again.
I would just come by, I'm like, doo-doo-doo, time beat.
Oh, just, that game was glitchy too. That penguin, our penguin was really messed up.
Yeah, that weird unlockable
I
penguin.
don't know what the fuck was up with
Talking
pent up
tongues.
penguin.
Talking tongues. Kind of like how we sounded just now.
Yeah. Exactly, all messed up, but no one else has had that problem. I've asked people, and they said their penguin sounded normal. I think it's because I played the game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, for our listeners, Kiki seems to have this thing where every game she touches gets glitched up. She somehow finds glitches in relatively glitch-free games. Sonic Advance 1, relatively glitch-free. One tiny glitch in the first level, where you can fall through the floor. Nobody encountered it in this house, except Noza, the very first time she played it.
Yeah, and I'm just like, why? Why did this happen?
When we played Super Smash Bros. Melee a lot, she would fall through the floor with Roy, and we could, never duplicate the effect.
Nope. And I was the only one who got the claptrap. I don't know if you guys remember, but the claptrap in the Donkey Kong stage went onto it was coming from the background to the foreground. It got into the barrel, got shot up, munched on me, and I went flying.
I remember that. I didn't even know that could happen.
And the three of you were just sitting there. You're like, what just happened? What? Why?
Guilty pleasures.
Excellent.
We need another topic now. We got a lot of dead air. I'm going to be truncating a lot of silence and editing here.
Richie, topic now.
Alright. Topic. Let's see. What about we talk about...
Oh, I've got a good one.
Let's talk about... Yeah, that was about the mention Dave's topic. Let's talk about Dave's topic.
Nice segue. How about the 2D versus 3D?
Explain. Elaborate.
Of all games, or Sonic games, or Mario games, or...
Just examples that we can come up with, good versus bad. My best example of bad...
Can I interrupt you a moment? Do you mean purely graphics, or mechanically 2D versus 3D, regardless of polygons?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Best example I could give of a game going the bad route, going to 3D, is Castlevania. I did not like the new Castlevania Shadows of whatever.
Lords of Shadow,
thank you. Interesting idea, but I don't think it made a very good transition to the 3D universe.
There were some other 3D Castlevanias. There were two, actually. And they were both kind of the Metroidvania mold, but in 3D. But they weren't really 3D because all the maps were flat. It was kind of like Doom in that respect. And yeah, they were mediocre at best.
Yeah, from what I've seen, they pretty much sucked.
There were some cool things about them. Like they had the typical weapon hunting where a lot of different weapons and gear had unique effects. There were lots of secrets to find and bosses. You know, there were some cool moments. I remember in the one that was the sequel to Castlevania 3 where you controlled Hector, Curse of Darkness. One time when I was on my sleep aid Zappa-clone, and Poe and Kiki were here for that, I went into this one secret area. In a stage I was just exploring for kicks, letting the sleep aid kick in. I made my way to a basement, and then I started finding these weird enemies that were like bubbles with baby fetuses in them. And I was like, what the fuck is this? It was in the basement of a church, and then it started getting the walls got all fleshy and veiny. And I went into the room, and this was actually the optional secret boss, Legion, which is the corpse ball that anyone who played Symphony of the Night is very familiar with. But in this game, he was retooled as the optional super boss. And that was the first time I ever died in that game. But it was very intense atmosphere in that game. Like, you have to fight him in a big 3D arena, you have to climb this ramp on the side as he hovered in the middle, and he would send exploding corpses your way. And then when you would beat him, his nucleus would attack you. And it was very, very interesting. And I remember very little of it because I was hopped up on Zappa-clone. That's my memory of 3D Castlevania.
Oh yeah, you stopped playing after that.
It wasn't a very good game. Truth be told, I really agree with Ego Raptor about the old Castlevanias being much better and the Metroidvania mold losing something. But even then, those were much better as 2D games than 3D, I think. And Lords of Shadow kind of tried to do a God of War variant. Kind of sort of God of War, kind of not. I was kind of hoping it'd be a little more like a successful Metroidvania. It really wasn't. There were some good things about it, and some bad things about it.
Some really bad things.
But some series made the transition very successfully. Look at Mario. In fact, I'd argue that 3D
haven't
Marios...
we seen that come in a direct circle? because it went 3D. It was very popular for a while, and now all the new Mario games are all, well, okay, not all of them, but the most popular ones are the 2D ones.
Well, part of the reason is because there's like hack level editors available to easily make new Super Mario Bros. Wii levels if you have a hacked Wii. Very puzzling that this wasn't included with the game, personally. This was after Little Big Planet. But I gotta tell you, the 3D Marios, they never really caught me until Mario Galaxy, but those were amazing games. Like, the way the gravity worked in the planets and the way the Wiimote actually felt like an intuitive control scheme for once.
Agreed.
And all the level design was sharp and solid and very fun. It was, like, that was a real 3D platformer that I could just play for hours. Good times there.
I was going to say, you know what game really transitioned well? Sonic 3D, especially the intuitive controls with Unleashed, and Richie can tell you exactly how well that worked out.
Go ahead.
Oh, is this a joke? Okay. You're talking about Sonic Unleashed? Okay, I did play Sonic Unleashed. I was one of the few who actually played it on the Wii instead of the PlayStation 3 or Xbox. One of the few adults, anyway. Well, Sonic Unleashed, on an overall scale, is just a piece of crap. From almost every angle that isn't daytime levels. I'm sure that you'll hear that anywhere you go. But the Werehog levels were really something else on the freaking Wii. It was like Dynasty Warriors for your hands. You know, your arm constantly moving back and forth just to swing your stretchy arms, moving your nunchuck and your remote up and down like a monkey doing the monkey wrench to climb ladders and stuff, which happened almost every level. This is an example of not intuitive controls. You never get the feeling that you're actually swinging your arms to attack. You're just going through the motions, which is one of the biggest problems I've always ever had with the Wii, and why I love Super Mario Galaxy series so much, because it's not forcing these movements on you. It's just a flick of the wrist to extend a jump. It's brilliant. It is Nintendo at its finest. Can't say the same for the Zelda series. It should have worked. I don't feel it does.
I think the Zelda series.
I'm getting off topic.
I think the Zelda series has a good formula for its 3D games, and they're definitely financially successful. Like, they have good engines. If you guys are gonna blow your nose or something, mute or say something, then we'll stop talking for a little bit and let that happen. Anywho, like, they have this engine that seems so good for that purpose. They just have to build compelling level design around it. And maybe a game that isn't all dungeon, tool and dungeon, use that tool to kill the boss, rinse and repeat until the end of the game. I don't know. Maybe this has always been Zelda.
I would have loved to see a Zelda game where once you get a tool, you use that tool for more than the dungeon that you find it in until, like, the last stages. I know that Zelda has a thing for in the last dungeon or the stages before the final boss. They tend to try and use a bigger variety of items aside from bombs and the like. Arrows, bombs, the usual. You always use those. You know, the hook shot you don't always use. Or, what is it? The bomb shoe you don't always use.
You know what's funny, Richie?
Eh.
You just basically talked about Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
I didn't like Skyward Sword. I still have to finish it, but part of the reason I haven't finished it is because I don't like it.
It's got exactly what you just talked about, though.
What? Using weapons only for the said dungeon and then being done with it?
No, the exact opposite. You use your item throughout the entire world.
Well, my biggest thing with Skyward Sword is that its control scheme is not...
Sucks?
It's not what it should be. I'm telling you. I have a hard time using the controls. What should feel intuitive does not, and it doesn't work half the time for me as I feel like it should. I didn't feel like it was going to be that hard, and I don't feel like the Wii Motion Plus is doing anything spectacular.
But is that a product of Skyward Sword being 3D? Would it have worked in 2D, maybe?
I have heard someone say, I think it was you, Carlos, that why did we ever need the Wii Remote to have Wii Motion Plus in order to play Skyward Sword well anyway? You're just slashing in a direction, right? So what's wrong with Z targeting and then using your control stick in a northeast direction and then press the B button to swipe in a northeast direction?
I will tell you what is wrong with that. Nothing.
And that is exactly the point I'm trying to get at. Like, what was the problem with that? Why didn't we go with that? This could have been done. I mean,
agree.
this is a three-dimensional. I'm still talking three-dimensional. I have no real inherent problem with two-dimensional Zelda games. My problem is the direction the 3D ones are going.
So I guess
Now
you would
that
argue
Nintendo
that
said they
Zelda did not make the jump very well?
Maybe initially they made the jump well, but when Wiimote kind of came through and started becoming more popular, when they tried to integrate that, it didn't work so well with Zelda. I'm not too sure as of why that would be, but I think no, that's
I think
basically it.
maybe I think maybe we're veering into Zelda again. Let's get back to 2D versus 3D, and let's do it with the game that made a very successful jump to 3D, Duke Nukem 3D. Two very mediocre side-scrolling platformers, and then a Doom-esque game with badass man quipping movies and kicking ass and chewing kinds of gum. Successful 3D transition, and an earlier one than Mario, as I recall.
Yeah.
We were
Excellent.
being serious.
I'm dead serious. Duke Nukem 3D was the third game in that series. There were two Duke Nukem games before that. They were 2D.
Both 2D platformers.
Yep. Learn something new every day.
I didn't know that was platformers, but
I didn't really care about Duke Nukem at all, to be honest.
neither did I.
Always been more of a Doom guy. See what I did there?
Ha ha ha.
Now, what about fighting games? 2D versus 3D, specifically mechanically. So, polygonal Street Fighter 4 is still 2D. Yeah, go.
There is room for both to exist. Fighting games are one of the few that there is room for both to exist.
Wait, so you're saying for platformers and stuff, there's not room for both 2D and 3D?
Platformers is another one that they can exist. I think adventure games, if you're going to go on the topic of adventure, as in like exploring and finding new places and dungeons and stuff like Zelda, I think it is good to have that isometric view like Zelda does, or the behind-the-back adventure 3D scheme.
So both will work again.
Platformers generally work both ways. Fighting games can work both ways.
I personally like 2D fighters better than 3D ones. I do want to learn Soul Calibur 5 because it looks like a lot of fun, but that's the only 3D one I kind of want to dig into. I like the space control of 2D fighters, like the space control of this flat plane, and that's the mind game you need to play with your opponent. I never really got into fighting in that third dimension. Never really was my thing.
I kind of like looking at 2D fighters like that too. This is the playing field. How much of this playing field can I control? Right? I've always kind of liked that. But 3D fighters is like a whole new beast. You know, you got most 3D fighters include some type of sidestepping element that completely nullifies a wide variety of attacks, which adds a completely different layer to the game. You know?
Yeah. Like in 3D fighters, projectiles are not king, whereas they're usually king in a 2D one. Parries notwithstanding.
Oh god.
Not a big fan of Street Fighter 3, but there are quite a few people who are. I won't piss in their cornflakes yet.
Carlos, air gates.
Oh, Air Gates. That was a 3D one that I actually liked, even though I sucked shit at it. That was the one that had the Final Fantasy guest characters. Tifa Cloud, Yuffie, Vincent, and Sephiroth. Tifa
Remember
was
the
like
adventure
this-
mode?
The adventure mode was RPG-esque, was Diablo-esque, but I remember that game more for the fighter part. I really actually liked the meat of the fighter, even though the best characters were Tifa, Masuda, and that is it. Maybe Godhand. I remember their names. Holy shit. Holy fuck. But they were the best characters, but there was a good engine there. I would have liked to have seen an Gates 2. Unfortunately, they made that. It was called Dissidia.
Wow.
Really?
That's kind of a low blow.
It's not Air Gates 2. Richard was correct. That was a low blow. Fuck that. That is the bad side of 3D fighters.
Are you talking about Dissidia as in being bad like that?
If I was to rate Dissidia, I would put it below the worst Street Fighter, Air Gates, and the crap I took last night.
I mean, on the fighting scale, yes. As a game, it's not a complete and total failure. In fact, quite the opposite. It's probably the only Square Enix game that I have liked since 10 was made.
Now, hang on. If it's a bad fighting game, how is it not a failure as a game? You just said it's a bad fighting game, but it's a good game.
It's not a fighting game, though. It doesn't describe itself as a fighting game.
How is it not a fighting
action
game?
RPG.
It is a fighting game, though.
Fights.
I mean,
It was advertised as a fighter.
it was not advertised as there is no
Totally
Yeah, it is.
advertised as a fighter. What are you talking about?
Well, just because there's no tournament play doesn't mean it's not a fighter.
I mean,
And
City
that's
as a
the thing,
fighter
like-
would be a very broken experience. It is just an action RPG where
An action
two
RPG
people
where all you fight is bosses, apparently. And you can pick any of those bosses. That sounds suspiciously like a fighting game.
It does, of course, have elements of a fighting game, but it is more like an action RPG / fighting game.
How is it more of an action RPG?
Well, let's be fair here. It has the RPG elements, like you have to grind and level up your guys and put equipment on them. But that just makes it crappier. It would have been much better if they dumped all that crap and just tried to make it like the PSP version of Virtual On, which is kind of what I wanted it to be in the first place, even though I wasn't a big fan of Virtual On. And that's another type of 3D fighter that is rare. The behind-the-back, big 3D arena free flight fighter, which I guess Dissidia is in the same camp as.
Well,
Dave,
you guys can say about Dissidia whatever you like. Hey, we can even call it a guilty pleasure of mine if you would so like. But I thought that game was actually, aside from its completely ridiculous story, an actually fun game in terms of actual playability.
I'm just not sure how that could be if it's kind of failing at what it set out to do.
I don't feel the same way, but I don't think that I can describe it in a way that would properly defend it with the words that would be coming out of my mouth without being completely shut down by pretty much everyone in the room right now.
Oh,
So,
I'm sorry, Richie. We all love you.
I'm just going to say it's a guilty pleasure and that the game is fun for me.
In the game's defense,
Fair enough.
it's an interesting mechanic. It's like, you know what? Let's let these guys fly the fuck around the arena and do ridiculous moves at other dudes flying the fuck around the arena. That's a cool concept. And that's one place 3D fighters haven't really delved too much into. That game did it, although arguably unsuccessfully. Depends. Some people like it. Richie. Virtual On did it as well, and that was kind of a big cult hit that never really went anywhere. I believe, Dave, you played a bunch of Virtual On, yes?
Loved Virtual On, especially in the arcade where you got the full impact of it. I thought the pad version just didn't capture what was awesome about the game at the time.
Tell us about the arcade controls.
2 sticks, going both left, both right, forward, back would do your movements each way. Multiple triggers for doing things like specials and everything else. If
They were
you
like
did
flight sticks, right?
Huh?
They were like flight sticks, yes?
Yes. Doing both of them out or both of them in would do special moves with different trigger combinations. Each mech handled differently. You found yourself actually flying throughout the air a great deal, but if you overused it, your opponent would beat the living shit out of you. It was an awesome day for the arcades. Outside of that, it just didn't make the transition very well to a home console, and maybe a game like Dissidia would have worked better. I would have enjoyed it better back in the old days of the arcades, because they could have done something very unique with the control scheme.
I also
In
found it kind of
today's,
puzzling.
it just falls flat.
I also found it kind of puzzling that Dissidia was made for portables. Like, that's the kind of game you'd want on an online-enabled console so that you can fully take advantage of the one-man-per-TV ideal way to play it, because it's a behind-the-back
Several
game.
bad things I have to say about Dissidia. That is definitely one of the points I'd make against it.
Mhm.
I don't understand why there would have been any reason to have made Dissidia on PlayStation Portable rather than make it for the PS3. There was absolutely no need.
I actually say that in general. Way too many good games are made for the portables.
Well, for the PSP, it's because so many people in Japan have PSPs. So, since it's their most popular system right now, that's what they make it for.
I also believe that Sony has a deal with Square. They have Square making console-level games for PSP, so Square's trying to do that, right? So they probably made Dissidia and that Final Fantasy VII prequel to be console-esque experiences for the portable. That said, on portables in general, some games I think are okay on portables. The latest Kid Icarus, with its stylus-only controls, I read, I'm not sure if it's true, it was supposed to be a Wii game, and that would have worked a lot better on the Wii, with being able to Wiimote aim and shoot, while you use the nunchuck to move pit.
How ironic.
I played that piece of shit. It really is awful for your hands.
Yes, I feel the same way. I did play it, and I said, why is the second circle pad not used for the aiming? Why is it only used for right-handed or left-handed players? I don't understand why the stylus controls are mandatory. They suck. They suck. Which means that the game, by association, then is degraded by this fact. I don't understand.
They included a stand for your comfort.
This is an interesting topic. Games that are portable that would have been better on console or vice versa.
Kid Icarus, Dissidia.
Kid Icarus, Dissidia. See, Pokemon is a good example of a game that should be portable, right? And that's a choke already, heavy horse here. It's like, that's pretty obvious at this point that Pokemon is very successful as a portable game. But other games that could be, better on either or. Bigger name console type games that are actually only portable.
We've been talking a lot about Japanese games in this podcast lately. I feel the need to bring a big name, very solid Western title into this. I hate that term Western, but I'm using it right now. You know what game I think could totally be on portables? Even though I probably still would play it on my TV and my computer monitor. I think Bastion would be a great portable title for 3DS or something.
Bastion would probably be a good portable game. Castle Crashers would also probably be a good portable game.
Yeah.
Castle Crashers, absolutely. 2D, where ad hoc multiplayer could work, or even internet multiplayer that isn't too demanding. Those could be great portable systems on the go. Like if you're traveling, you bust out a portable, play some Castle Crashers. That'd be the shit. The shit.
That'd be dope as balls.
Dope as so many balls.
You getting man moist over there?
Totally.
Oh, okay.
I think everybody's sleepy.
No, I can't. I'm trying to actually think of another game that would be good on portables. Or vice versa, whatever. But I can't think of.
She always talks about how Pokemon would make if utilized properly, would make a good MMO.
You could do that if you would make your trainer, then you'd run around the world, and then 80 players would spawn camp the rare shiny Raichu, and then servers would crash.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't work.
I kind of want Pokemon to not be an MMO, so that I can hack Pokemon to be exactly how I want, so I don't have to grind for 500 hours to get my Pichu with hidden power Ice.
Yeah, no shit. Or Explosion.
Well, he can't legally get that move.
Sure he can.
Fuck it. Exploding Pichu.
He can also learn Destiny Bond.
And fly.
You just don't know it.
But you do when you fight Nose's team. Who was it that you fought and they were like, bullshit, Pichu doesn't have explosion?
I believe that was Richie. Richie, wasn't it you? I'm pretty sure it was you. Where I just sent my Pichu team.
Richard?
Richie's dead.
Oh my god, we killed him.
I'm not dead. I'm here. Hello?
Hi.
Richie, you're dead.
You're dead. You didn't answer.
Well,
Go
that's
into
because
the light.
Pichu used explosion.
That is true. Yes.
Oh, highly effective.
Nobody heard a thing I said? Okay. No, I was just saying that I don't recall Pichu explosions. I definitely recall going against a Pichu team that belonged to Kiki.
It was mine then.
Because she's the only one who I know would do something like that. Just give me an entire team of little yellow, black-eared
Fuck.
rats using fucking explosions and shit. Yeah,
Son of a bitch.
Yes.
only person.
No, the back of my iPhone is cracked.
Oh, that's shitty.
Ouch.
Oh my god. I'm still using it.
Oh.
Pokemon is a real life MMO.
What about something like...
Life is a real life MMO. Go ahead.
Well, this is true.
If Nintendo wanted to make a whole bunch of money, they would grab the last iteration of the Pokemon series and port it to iPhone.
Agreed.
Oh, shit.
Better download that shit right now. Get that app.
Kiki, you were about to say?
I was going to mention, what about, is it Monster Hunter that's both console and, like, portable?
Now,
Oh,
yes.
PlayStation.
Monster Hunter is on Wii right now. And mostly PlayStation Portable.
Yeah, is it Capcom's PSO?
It is.
How is that, like,
It's
wait,
kinda bored of
should it be on
PSO.
both, or is it fine?
You know,
It's
it
not fun.
works as a portable, especially in Japan, because, you know, how the Japanese are, they're always, you know, either taking the train or the subway together, and they're always got their PSPs on them on their way to work, and they got time to play, and, you know, sometimes on their transfer that's like, you know, 20, 30 minutes long, it's enough time to go and do a mission together. You know, and that all the drops drop in the same room that they're at, and they pick it up, it saves, they can go on to the next room, just like PSO or Diablo or anything like that. It's just that in that game, you take on dinosaurs that sometimes, depending on your difficulty level, take 40 minutes to kill. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't want to be killing a dinosaur for 40 minutes.
I do. I actually played the Wii one. It's actually legitimately fun, but there is a certain lack of charm. Maybe I just don't get it.
Or a
maybe-
lack of gameplay.
No, there's definitely not a lack of gameplay. I don't think so, anyway. I think I just been spoiled by PSO for too long that I don't have a charm for PSO-like games.
Like Diablo 3 coming out very soon. Who's excited?
Yes. At least in that game, I won't feel like I'm beating a dead horse.
But there's
No,
no
you'll
Amazon.
feel like you're beating 7 of them.
The
700.
closest thing would be the Demon Hunter. They use bows.
Yeah.
They use crossbows and are emo.
Oh, that makes me want to play them right now.
You should totally be the witch doctor. He can summon little midgets, and he can summon 3 midgets that get into a totem pole, and then ghetto fall onto an enemy. It's
I
pretty
don't
funny.
want to.
It's like I could finally live my dream of hiring a midget to do something for me.
Exactly.
Oh my god, that does not sound as good as using those fire demolition arrows and freeze arrows. Having midgets tower and collapse on themselves.
You can be the monk. The male monk looks like Tenzin.
I love Tenzin.
Tenzin's great from this
Yeah,
show that we shouldn't have seen yet.
Oh,
Left eye, right
yeah.
eye. No big deal. I'm pretty sure it's a secret to nobody.
True.
I know that I'm personally waiting for Terra and Guild Wars to come out. Not so much Diablo, but those two.
Well, it looks like another... Oh, what did I say about muting? Oh, there we go again. Whoever's doing this isn't listening.
Kobe.
Blatant
How?
disregard.
But I'm not doing buzzing shit.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, only you were definitely sneezing and I saw your little box come
I
out.
wasn't sneezing. What the hell?
Why is your box lighting up?
Good times.
I'm totally getting sleepy.
Oh.
Yeah.
I need to nap. I'm so sleepy. Alright, do we have anything else to discuss?
No, I
Not
think it's a good time to
until
sleep on it.
time.
Alright. This has been Two Fat Guys, Talk Games, and Friends yet again. Dave, I think next episode is going to be a you and me one, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So, look out for that one. But we still will have and Friends again. Thank you, Friends, for being on the show.
No
Ta-da.
problem, Class of VJ.
Nice. And we have potential new friends coming on, including friends who may or may not have Jesus fuck with the fucking blowing of the fucking nose and not fucking muting anything. Holy fucking shit. Anywho, including friends who may or may not have actually dabbled in the development of games and contributed to them. Stay tuned. Until next time, I'm Carlos. And that's Two Fat Guys Talk Games.